Hello there, everyone. Welcome back to the Haas Hard Challenge, and we're going to continue. Today's episode is probably going to be a tiny bit shorter, but that is just due to time constraints on my part. We're currently looking pretty decent here. We are currently running 5th with 4 points behind Merck. We are 50 points behind Aston Martin, and if development goes as we want, we will probably be able to catch, I think, at least Mercedes, maybe even Aston. It'll depend. But I do want to talk a little bit about what we're planning to do going forwards. So the Williams playthrough that I just recently did, well, that one season video, basically showed that you can actually do a pretty aggressive design strategy. We're not going to be doing that here. We're going to be doing a pretty standard, I dare you could say, develop your car slightly at the start of the season, pivot to research, and that is basically what we will keep on doing. You can do what I did with Williams, with Haas too. It should actually be fairly efficient to do so, but for this series I want to test out the limits of the hard AI. I want to test out the limits of the hard development, so I am going to do it quote unquote normally. Just want to get that out of the way before we go any further into this. So next up here we have Spain, which is as I've said probably a million times before, my absolute worst race. And the reason for this is very simple. It is the weirdest race in terms of degradation, and that it has a long pit lane, which makes it pretty bad for full attack strategies. But we'll still add to the race weekend here, and I'll take a little bit of a look at quali again. There was some questions on the last video and the video before if I could show quali and just a general example of how we do that. So we're just going to jump into the Spanish Grand Prix, we'll get to quali, and we'll see what we can do. So here we are at the start of quali. Just a second has passed, and what I like to do is just immediately send out both cars. Doesn't matter if it's Q1, Q2, Q3, basically the same for everyone. We send them out, we allow a little bit of a gap to form, and then we send out our second car. Now, basically, as you would expect, we allow them to do their first flying lap here. Usually, because you send them out early, there won't be too many cars in the way. Usually one or maybe two, sometimes three, but generally you'll be fairly safe. Now, after you've done your first lap, you're going to have to do some adjustments. We basically are probably going to want to send out both cars out again, particularly as a lower rated team. And to do that, we just reconfigure the exact same settings. As you can see, same tire, same run plan, same everything. You just hit the button twice, and that gets that sorted. And now we want to kind of wait and see where do the others place in terms of times. As you can see, Hulkenberg has actually set a pretty good time where he's beaten both Perez and Hamilton, so he probably will not need to be sent out again. Magnussen, on the other hand, is close to Gasly. We have shown that it's really far back, but this does potentially tell us that we might need to send Magnussen out again. And in terms of finding a good window of sending him out, you can actually hover over the send off button and it tells you the expected traffic. And you can also, of course, just have a look at the track. You can switch this over to in laps or out laps. So most cars are actually on an in lap. There are 3 cars currently on a fast lap and 2 cars on an out lap, Norris and Piastri. So honestly, if we wanted to do another run before the final one, this is probably a good gap to send them out in, because as I said, De Vries, Tsunoda, Bottas, we see Bottas and Tsunoda here. We can actually just wait for them to go, and then we send Magnussen out, and we actually snuck him out ahead of Alonso. But in theory now, the only car that we might get trouble with, unless someone comes out of the pit, is De Vries, who just finished his fast lap. So Bottas should peel in. Piastri, Norris, both on fast laps. Tsunoda left the pits, so he's going to be a little bit of a problem. But generally, that is how you kind of look for gaps. Well, sorry, Tsunoda was on a fast lap. But yeah, as you can see,
pretty competitive at the moment.
we improved a little bit, and with that, we are basically safe into Q2. So pretty simple and straightforward here with quali. You're basically just looking for gaps where you can send your drivers out. The second run is usually going to be a lot better than the first run, and potentially the third run is also going to be better, because the fact that each run you send them out on will generally increase their confidence. And confidence does give more stats, so keep that in mind. Now this is a fairly competitive, I dare say, Q1 for us, 5th and 8th. A little bit higher than I would have expected us to place, but we'll take it. And keep in mind again, I mentioned this earlier, but for quali, hard doesn't have any impact. It still works as it did before the changes to difficulty. Now on Q2, I generally like to send the cars out on the first run on older softs, but if they have a lot of wear, like this one, I generally just give them a new set. It works, basically. Now for Hulkenberger, he doesn't have that much wear. 90% is acceptable, 80 is on the limit, I dare say. So we'll be sending him out on a 90% on his first run. If he can't make it through, we'll give him a new set on his final run. And in Q2, you can still usually get in 3 runs, pretty simply. Can we sneak out ahead of Russell? We can. And again, we just do what we did in Q1, sneak him out early. Barcelona is a short track, just 1:13, I think the lap times were. So we definitely have chance there to do 3 flying laps if we want to. Hulkenberg is going to get potentially a little bit blocked there by Verstappen, but luckily it slows down before the corner, so we shouldn't see any massive losses of time. 13.4, 13 blank, so yeah, pretty decent. Pretty decent laps here for both boys. We'll just get them in. And we are going to reconfigure, and we'll consider if we need to do another lap in order to be safely into Q3, which is going to be the goal here. And for Hulkenberg here, as I said, he has used these tires quite a lot. We're going to put him on fresh tires. But Magnussen, we're going to keep him on those older tires, and that should be a-okay. Now, currently, I would dare say that we're going to be fine. Verstappen is squeezed in between us, Sainz is squeezed in between us. Alonso is behind us. He might improve, though. But Leclerc, Perez could potentially beat us here. But as you can see, Norris, Albon, they're a couple of seconds behind. So here I'm thinking that we are safe. We aren't going to need, most likely, a second lap here. So we're going to get a red flag. But the same applies. We probably aren't going to need a second lap, so we're just going to delay it. And this does potentially cause some problems for other cars. So who is out? We're just going to stick with what we set up before. It's actually Norris, so that means we only need to beat 4 cars. And that makes life a little bit easier here. But everyone should probably end up going out right now. Leclerc needs to Hamilton, Stroll, Gasly. So Magnussen might be in a tad of danger. But because we have so much time left on the clock, we can actually wait a little bit here and allow most of these cars on their in-laps, on their out-laps, on their fast laps, basically get this done. So you do run a little bit of a risk if you wait too long. But in this case, I think it's fine. As you can see, I don't think all of these cars are going to improve their times. Gasly and Stroll might. But I think Magnussen is safe here, although, again, we're playing a little bit with fire doing this. It should be a-okay, and it is, with into Q3. And that's basically the estimation you're going to have to make for yourself. Are we safe, or do we need to take it a little bit? Do we need to do an extra run here? Now, for the final quali, we'll be doing one, basically, primer lap, banker lap, so we do want to use a fresh set of softs here, because we probably aren't going to use more than 2 softs in the race. So, depending on what your strategy is for the race itself, you might want to save 2 softs, you might want to save 3 softs, but 2 softs is more than enough for what we want. So, we'll use fresh tires for both of them for their first laps, and we're going to use the same set of tires for the second lap, because I haven't really seen any big gains in terms of lap time from putting on fresh tires on the second run. I've usually been seeing worse lap times as a result, but I've been seeing improvements running the same tire. So it's kind of a weird thing now with scrub softs. But this is a pretty bad lap time. It's half a second slower than what we are used to. So we're definitely going to need to set both cars up for our final run. Now here we could potentially try and sneak them out for an extra run. But we are going to use these same tires. It's just how I prefer to use it. Could just be placebo. But it does feel quicker, so that's why I prefer to do it like this. And for now, we're just going to wait towards the end of quali, because quali actually has rubber. It gets slowly rubbered in a little bit more. And we want to wait towards the end, find ourselves a gap to send the cars out in. And there we go, Perez is now out, Verstappen, Leclerc is pitting. And Ocon is out. This is when we probably do want to try and get our cars out. So let's get Magnussen out. Let's get Hulkenberg out. And we are going to have potentially a little bit of blockage here. Because Leclerc, Verstappen, they waited a little bit longer than us. A little bit colder, a little bit more ice in their veins. But I still think that we should have a fairly clear lap here for the most part. And you can actually see that in Magnussen, you can see that Hulkenberg, both of them had clean laps, but unfortunately, no real improvement.
Then we will go mode in and cool,
which is unfortunate. Because if we had managed to do 13 black like we did in the earlier qualities, we'd probably been frontline. But as we can see, I think the... I don't know why Magnus is taking penalty. I guess he ate something in practice. But as you can see, same here for Verstappen, he was also slower. Leclerc was slower. Perez was slower. So everyone was somewhat slower. 2/10 for basically the Red Bull, 3/10 for the most part here for these cars. So this isn't that terrible of a result. But yeah, that's generally how I do quali. It's pretty simple and straightforward, but honestly, it mostly comes down to getting experience, getting used to it, and once you do, you'll start recognizing those gaps. So hopefully this will do it for a quality explanation in this series. I'll direct everyone here. But yeah, we'll get into the Brazilian, into the Barcelona GP, and we're actually getting rain, so that should make for an interesting race weekend here, honestly. So let us go ahead and see how that light rain is going to affect us. And apparently Magnussen ate a 5 grid place penalty during practice. How did you pull that off, my guy? And it's going to be actually a fairly interesting affair because it's going to start raining fairly early. And it's probably going to be until lap 30 before we actually need to put on inters. So the question then becomes, can we take a tire to lap 30? Can we take a hard to lap 30? Not really. So we have mediums, we have softs. So what I'm thinking here is that we start on the medium. We could stretch the medium for sure. Or we could go full attack, try and make it places, and then go to soft here. And even then, as you can see, the softs are going to degrade pretty quickly. Let's see. If we run mediums to standard, they could make it. But again, the concern is, can we actually make something happen with that? So I think for Magnussen, what we're going to do here is actually go attack, soft to medium. And we'll see what the rain is actually looking like once we get to the pit stop, make adjustments there. We'll stretch these softs as far as we can. I think that's going to be the play for Magnussen. Now for the Hulk here, we're gonna do something a little bit different. We're gonna go full attack on the mediums from the get-go, and we're gonna go with the softs being a bit more relaxed. Probably standard, maybe aggressive. We'll see. But we will be pitting him too, and I'm sorry for all the coughing. You're going to be hearing that quite a lot in this video. I have water here, but doesn't seem to be helping. So we'll have to see here. If the rain comes early, we might try and stretch the mediums, but honestly, if it comes later, we have the advantage of the softs. We can do the same with Magnussen. So we're going to do that, basically just split strategies here. The idea behind Magnussen is that we push as hard as we can because we're starting towards the back. Then we go into the mediums, we get overtakes done, build up confidence. And it's kind of the same here with Hulkenberg. That's kind of why I like the aggressive strategies. Not only do you get the benefit of running attack, which again, there's been a lot of questions about this on basically every video, but running attack, even if you run the tires in the red, is not a negative thing, as long as the degradation follows the expected degradation for attack. Now, if the degradation dips below this and you need to change strategies, then it's bad. But as long as it follows this, it's not actually a bad thing. You'll be quicker than most other strategies out there, basically any other strategy out there. And that is why attack currently is very, very overpowered. With that said, let's jump into the Spanish GP and see if we can pull out something from the rabbit's hat.
The stage is set.
I did forget to put them to attack, didn't I?
It's the Spanish Grand Prix. And it's lights out and away we
I did,
go.
so we have nerfed ourselves a little bit here at the start, but you should always do attack, push, and deploy. I just was talking a little bit too much, lost myself. And also, low, rarely defend. Again, low is risk, which also means that you can run attack without any concerns. But yeah, basically that's how I prefer to do it. Now, there is actually a lot of cars here on hard tires, and that is actually kind of interesting to see. So they've elected to go for the hard tire. They're going to be staying out until the rain arrives. So that's going to be fairly interesting. Magnussen has had a bit of an incident. No real damage to the components, maybe a little bit to the gearbox, but he's definitely out of this race. So that sucks.
Now I'm just looking here. Possibly Ocon's part of that.
What exactly happened here?
What was that?
I don't even know what to make of that. I wish there was a replay feature so I could have a look. But yeah, I think what we're going to do is just pit Magnussen. And you can actually keep going. But as you can see, chassis, sidepod, suspension, he's going to be slow. He's already at the back. So we are going to go ahead here and just retire the car. There is no reason not to. Because again, he's just in such a...
Now it looks
He's
to be Lewis
already
Hamilton
suffered a lot of
here.
damage. So let's see what actually happened.
Now we're with Lewis Hamilton here. Tries to get by.
I guess
Ooh,
Magnussen
that's quite an
dodged.
impact between them.
Magnussen dodged the incident between Ocon and the Aston, and as a result, he kind of got punished for it. I think that is what happened. That is the only thing that really makes sense to me there. Then he got tagged by Hamilton, but yeah, it is unfortunate, but it is what it is. For now, though, we are retiring Magnussen. Damage to, again, 3 components is going to be fairly massive. Big suspension damage is also not good. But currently, we have Hulkenberg in 6th. He is kind of chasing the cars ahead. And there are hard tires in play here, so that's going to make things even more interesting. It means that we need to get overtakes done. So it's going to put us into a bit of a challenging position, I dare say. We've been stuck behind Alonso here for basically the entire race. Nothing that I've tried has been working. So what we're going to do is actually pit slightly early. And we're going to be pitting onto the soft tires. And we are going to be running them on basically light for the time being. Turning them kind of into hard. But they should be quicker than the hards. Although going on the hards there too would be viable. Unfortunately, we actually have a pretty significant pit stop error here.
Now what happened there, Karim?
So that is going to cause us even more problems.
There's been a problem there.
What exactly is the problem? Bad reaction times? I don't know what the problem was, honestly. That's a bit problematic. But yeah, we have 3 cars ahead of us that's going to pit. Leclerc, Verstappen pits now. We're not going to be able to jump them for sure. But this does pose a little bit of a problem for us, of course. But we're up into 9th, so the goal here is going to be points. We'll have to see if we can actually catch up to Alonso with the damage that we now suffered. But rain is coming, and it's coming fairly soon. But again, 30, 34, 35. I don't know exactly when this is going to hit, you know, switch tire territory. So for now, we'll run them at standard. But we might turn it up to aggressive, might turn it up to full attack in the near future. And as you can see, unfortunately, because of Russell... had that incident, he is ahead of us, but well, because of that pit stop error, Russell is far ahead of us, which is a bit unfortunate, but nothing we can do about it. We'll keep on working the tires for now, and we'll see what we end up with in terms of pit stop when the rain arrives. So the rest of the field has started pitting, and we're going to do the same on this lap. We're going to go on the inters, and we have kind of suffered here. Did go a little bit too aggressive on the softs, which cost us. But it is what it is. We'll just have to deal with it and pray that Hulkenberg doesn't eat another 10-second pit stop, because that would be probably race ruining for him. But as you can see here, we've somewhat caught up to Russell. We're basically a little bit behind right now. And for Hulkenberg, he comes out in 7th after the pit stops. So I say we've done some decent, decent work here. Regained some of our previous position, if you will. We'll keep on running aggressive for now, because we are going to end up having to pit again, most likely. And I think that's going to be the best bet that we have, to pit again. Push these tires a little bit, pit again. But we'll see how we do in terms of lap times compared to, say, Russell. And maybe we'll just have to sit back and be happy with 7th here. Here we are. We're getting closer to our pit stop. The reason why I've opted for doing a second pit stop is very simple. We have a pretty sizable gap down to Stroll, and we could actually catch up to the back of Russell. And of course, we also need to regain the fuel that we pushed during the previous racing laps. So for now, we'll pit again. Hopefully, we'll come out ahead of Stroll. That's going to be the goal here. And as long as we do that, we're probably not going to be able to, are we? Yeah, we are. As long as we do that, we should be fine. Now we can just kind of try and use tire advantage to catch up to the rest of the pack. And of course, we do need to regain fuel, so we'll do that while trying to catch Russell. It's going to be pretty close, I think, if we catch him or not. Probably going to be a little bit harder than we would have liked. But, again, I think this is a gamble that I think this is the best gamble we could do, basically, if you will. So these can go up to 105 degrees. Should be fine. For now, though, we are gaining 1.5 seconds a lap. That is a little bit too little, unfortunately. But if we push towards the end, particularly once we have the fuel back, we might be able to catch Russell. Just maybe. So, unfortunately, we couldn't actually catch Russell there, although we got close. I think we would have caught him if it wasn't for one very simple fact. Stroll put out a virtual safety car for the last 5 laps of the race. It's unfortunate, but it is what it is. We'll just have to live with it. Red Bull and Ferrari once again dominant. Alonso in 5th. Then we have Russell, who has scored some more points for Merc, meaning that we'll be drawn a little bit closer as a result. Gasly and Norris actually getting points for McLaren. That is quite impressive, honestly. You don't usually see that, and that puts them also, you know, balanced here with AlphaTauri. But, yeah. Interesting. Basically, I'm a little bit flabbergasted due to that, but it is what it is. Now, the pit stops here were pretty miserable, particularly this one. Apparently, we failed to race car. Okay. Lost 8 seconds on racing the car. That is horrible. Let's just put it like that. And basically, Barcelona was a bit of a mess due to it, but at least we made a lot of money from our goals, and we can probably start upgrading a little bit of our facilities. Mainly the race sim and some other things. Research is also finished on the underfloor. We have a helipad upgrade. We're going to maximize this one. I need to remember this thing exists. It's probably your best facility. And we are actually upgrading the team up and race sim at the moment. Factory. So we have 15 million. We could go ahead and start upgrading these. But again, you don't really need to do these. If you're planning to do research all season, then you can actually start working on them towards the end of the season when you actually know what your budget is going to be. You probably want 20 to 30 million going into your next season so you can make sure that you can rush and get parts ready before Bahrain. So, with that in mind, we have the 3 parts destroyed. We also have 2 failed parts, so we are going to need to put everyone to work. And as expected here, the gearbox took a sizable amount of damage because both Magnussen and Hulkenberg are running kind of the same spec parts. So we'll have to deal with that. Now, the underfloor research, just a pretty basic one, but definitely one that we kind of want for next year. And particularly again, if you have a regulation change that is downforce focused, downforce in this case meaning you're cornering, you are definitely going to want to focus on that, because if you don't, your car is gonna suck next year no matter what you do. We'll have to see exactly if I can actually, you know, make something happen with Williams. I am planning to do the second season there, where we'll be trying to recover from a no research season, to kind of show just how harsh it can be. But yeah, we'll do another underfloor, I think, and we'll have a look at where we're at. We haven't done anything for front wing, anything for the rear wing. Underfloor has probably 2 researchers now, so kind of caught up a little bit, but as you can see here, the low speed, we're still lacking a ton. Suspension also important for that, so we do need to do suspension, underfloor, and front wing in particular for the low speed. The rear wing, it's going to lose some, you know, downforce for the low speed, but we don't really focus that. It's more about an extra benefit to us. Although you do get a decent amount of cornering from it. I do value the DRS that we get. Okay, we'll cancel that. How many days do we have? 11. Okay. What are we currently making? We are making chassis. We'll have 1 ready for Canada. We're making front wings. We are making suspensions. So for now, we'll keep that chassis kind of out in the open. That should be fine. And we are going to need a new suspension here too. So yeah, definitely Magnussen. Magnussen was tired of running, you know, non-spec parts. So he went ahead and destroyed it. We're also going to need an underfloor. So we might need to rush an underfloor here. Basically, as soon as this front wing is done tomorrow, we might need to rush the underfloor. We'll have to see exactly how far away we are. But you can definitely see just a single crash, it can kind of put us on the back foot in terms of in terms of progress. And we should be able to get this done in time, so we'll just put in 1 for now. And that should be a-okay. We'll get all these parts ready for the race itself, the second suspension, the chassis. But the main problem now is that we are going to be running cars that have no replacements. Same for the front wings, same for everything. So we definitely do need to get ourselves a little bit of a break here, potentially to try and get some of this sorted. And we'll get a little bit of a break after Canada. Then we have Austria. So yeah, we are going to be a little bit rushed here for parts, I think, unfortunately. Which is one of the negative things with Haas, because they have... It takes longer for them to make parts because of the sponsorships. I probably mentioned this earlier, but they have... we have some sponsorships here that are limiting our manufacturing. For 20 out of 23 race weeks, we have 15 days where we can't manufacture either. So you can imagine that we're going to have a bad weekend here. Also, Magnussen's control performance rating reduced 16 of the 23 weekends. So yeah, definitely heavily nerfed with the sponsorships, let's put it like that. For now though, we're just going to get prepped and we are going to jump into the Canadian Grand Prix in just a second. Misery does in fact love company. Immediately after that, we got a internal data concern. Honestly, since we're just doing research right now, it's not problematic. It says car part design projects. Should be fine then, that we will approve the investigation. Might as well. Losing 6 days is okay, I feel. Suspension has been manufactured here, and that does actually allow us to, say, make another front wing, which I think we will. It takes 4 days to do so. Do we have rear wings? We do. So what we could do here is, of course, start a project to make another suspension. Probably would be beneficial to do so, but as you can see, it basically takes us 2 weeks to get that done because of how the limits that we have. Even if we rush it, we can rush it for 6 days, but you can imagine that it's going to be rough no matter how we decide to do this. So we'll just make another suspension in the normal way, and that'll just have to be how it is. For now though, as I said, we'll try and speed along till the race weekend, and then we'll put new parts on the cars. Once again, I'm damned. Tour Center has been upgraded to level 3. And again, this thing kind of pays for itself. It's going to take longer the, further you upgrade it. But for now, we're just going to maximize it. It's extra money. And I believe we actually have another upgrade coming in here. That is actually the Team Hub. And we're actually going to keep on upgrading these things. The Team Hub, the race sim. Extra experience for our staff and drivers is always important. It is very, very nice to get that boost going. So we're definitely going to go ahead and make that happen. Now, I am tempted to make another underfloor right away. So we'll go ahead and get that ordered. And that should make life a little bit simpler for us. Canada is coming up just now. But before that, we need to go through the cars here. I want to just see that we have put the best components on both cars. That we don't have someone running a lower spec part. It does happen that I forget to... replace them, so I'm just double checking. So yeah, there we go. We've got now decent parts on both cars, and our car now is actually really good. Decent low speed cornering, decent medium speed cornering, decent high speed, not bad in dirty air, brake cooling, and engine cooling, and we have the best DRS. So the Haas car, if we had done a little bit more development, could probably have fought for at least top 3 in the championship. But again, we want to test the limits with a car that isn't a train, so to speak. So for the time being, position streak, I think we'll say 1 car in the top 10 for 5 races. I think that is very much what we can do. 1 car in top 10 as finish position. Again, being a little bit conservative because I want the money. I don't want to gamble on too much money. But we will say both drivers into Q3. So with that, let's jump to Canada, get practice and quali done. And then we should have a very interesting race here. Decent qualifying here for Canada. A little bit unfortunate here for Hulk because he is, as you can see, just 300s away from 4th. So again, very close here from 4th to 9th. Just almost everyone within a 10th of each other. So a little bit unfortunate as you can see, but we'll take 4th and 7th as our starting, positions for this race. Now Canada is interesting because it doesn't really have DEG. As you can see, you can basically do it on a single set of hards. But at the same time, you can actually do some very aggressive strategies here because the pit lane is incredibly short. So what we're going to do is we could probably do a one-stopper like this. It's not actually a bad idea. But what I'm thinking is that we go incredibly aggressive and do soft, medium, soft, all on full attack. And that should be somewhat viable, and it should also be fairly quick. So let's see how this looks compared to the one-stopper. As you can see, it's about 9 seconds quicker. Now, if the degradation is incredibly high, this is going to put us into a bit of a bad spot. But I think this is a good strategy to make sure that we keep up with everyone else. Now, for Hulkenberg, we could probably go for the one-stopper. Honestly, it probably wouldn't be a terrible idea to do so. But what I'm thinking here is that we do potentially something like this. As you can see, it's slightly slower than doing a medium instead. So we probably will do this for Hulkenberg too. It is the quickest strategy. But we could also potentially start him on the hards, have him go long, and then get back towards the end. Because there isn't too much difference here. But again, we want to avoid the hard tire, degradation-wise. Just 100 difference. And this 3/10 of, well, difference to begin with. So the mediums here are going to hold an advantage for a good 30 laps. Don't want to use them. The softs here have an advantage for about 12, 13 laps. So this is probably the best that we can do. And if someone goes on the hards, we should have an easy time to kind of eat them up. So we'll go with the aggressive strategy here. And of course, we could go for doing mediums first. But I think we want to here go for the softs first. Try and get both cars a little bit further up the grid. Not get held up behind potentially slower cars. So that's why we're going to gamble.
70 laps of the drivers are ready and raring to go. It's the Canadian Grand Prix.
I see a lot of soft tires around, which means that we could get some undercuts going. Unless they plan to push fully themselves. So that is nice. And this is a decent start for our cars. Hulkenberg a little bit in trouble here. Loses a position.
Okay,
Magnussen hold on to his, so that is good. And everyone is on either soft or medium tires. And apparently we had a, I guess, turn 1 incident involving Piastri. Little touch there between him and the Alfa Romeo. But yeah. Decent start, of course. Hulkenberg is going to have a little bit of a job cut out for him here. Magnussen just needs to try and do his best here to hold on to the cars in front. And honestly, it should be doable, but it's probably going to be a little bit challenging. If Alonso actually loses grip here to the Red Bulls, I could see us maybe sneaking a podium in there, potentially. Hulkenberg gets an overtake done on Russell, I think. Next up is Hamilton. Russell having a bad one there, lost a couple of positions. Well, that's not what I want to see, but Magnussen apparently took Alonso at the same time. Pretty good. Luckily, he didn't crash. But that puts, well, he's back down into 4th. But that did put us up into podium position for a while, so again, I do think this is the best strategy that we have available to us. And we can push these tires up to close to 120 degrees, but we probably want to try and avoid putting them onto that, you know, the maximum that they can go in terms of temperature. That's going to be bad. For now, though, we'll keep on working both cars, and hopefully we'll be in a good position once we get to the pit stops. So we have another incident of the Magnussen Destruction Derby. Luckily, again, there's no real damage to his components, but he has taken out a Red Bull of Perez. Alonso and Stroll, I thought these guys were first the guys with the, you know, incident, but it's actually, as you can see, Magnussen. And we're probably going to retire him again. Major damage to chassis is not something to scoff at. It's basically our cornering ability. And this could potentially be a red flag unless we get going again. So yeah, that kind of bunches up the pack, every one of them. But yeah, Magnussen is not having a good time. And it is what it is. He had a good chance there, but then the lockup kind of destroys that. And I think Verstappen got some damage there too, honestly. I think Verstappen is taking damage. And the reason why I'm saying this is, if you saw there, we could actually, sorry, that is the wrong one. We could actually see, yeah, Verstappen has a hole in his wing. would actually see Paris had a broken rear wing. Sorry, not broken rear wing, broken front wing. So Magnussen took out both Red Bulls, kind of. And he's now put Hulkenberg into a prime position for snatching, potentially, a podium, I dare say. So Verstappen is pitting. I'm wondering if he's just going to retire, or if he's going to replace his tires. We'll have to see here. He ran through the pits. He did put on a new set of tires. Okay, so he did get some tire damage. Hulkenberg down in third. Magnussen got the penalty. No big surprise there, honestly. That should be expected by basically everyone. Now, Verstappen, again, he does have some rear wing damage. I don't know how severe it's going to be, but there is a hole in that rear wing. So, again, that could definitely put us into a good position here to potentially snatch victory. And that is not really a joke. It could potentially be that. We already have very high confidence with Hulk. Now, we need to see if we can actually get that confidence even higher. So for the time being, we'll push. The quicker we leave behind the Merc of Hamilton, the better. Russell has already created a bit of gap here. But yeah, we do need gaps for Verstappen to kind of leave him in the dust at this point. It's going to be important. And if we can also leave Hamilton behind, that would definitely help even more. Because that way we can already start creating gaps further back for when we pit ourselves. So Hulkenberg looks like he's already being very, very aggressive, which we do like to see. But there we go. He's up into second. I think for now, we're just going to stay here and harvest. Because what I really, really want right now is to recharge, have energy, and then create a gap to Stroll. If we can leave the Astons behind, that would be amazing. We actually have a chance here. We're just going to gamble. Deploy everything we have. And if we, as I said, can create that gap to Stroll, that would be amazing. Doesn't look like we really have the pace for it right now. If we had some more energy, then maybe. But right now, it looks to be a little bit too much of a wish. But that is still fine, even if we end up running with them. If we get overtaken, we just fall back and we recharge. But for now, we're just going to run until we get to that first pit stop, and then we'll make some decisions. We're getting very close now to that first pit window. We haven't really been able to leave anyone behind. We've also pushed fuel probably way further than we really wanted to, but that is fine. What I'm thinking now is that we are going to gamble on pitting. But the question is, do we gamble on this lap, or do we stretch it one more lap? I think we need to stretch it one more lap, although you can see Piastri pitting. We need to stretch it one more lap just for durability's sake. And that is exactly what we are going to do here. We're going to stretch it one more lap before we pit. And that's also so we can get a little bit of a bigger gap to Albon and Norris. Because here the pit stops are 19 seconds, approximately. So if we can come out ahead of Norris and so much fresh air after Gasly and Ocon, that would be amazing. And we can also see here that Verstappen hasn't actually been able to do any overtaking. So he is definitely not a contender anymore. So Magnussen could have blessed Hulk here, I guess. But yeah, we are going to pit now. We're going to see if we can come out ahead of Albon and Norris. And we do pull that off. So pretty good here. We even had a couple of seconds to spare. But that is going to be... The key now is going to be how quickly can we get by Gasly? How quickly can we get by Ocon? And if we do that quick enough, we might be able to jump the rest of the pack here. And as you can see, we're already within their pit window. And as we push now, we're going to get even closer and closer. I'm wondering how our lap times are going to look this time around. So let's have a little bit of a look. And we are doing 59s. So we're gaining about a second to 2 seconds. Well, a second for the most part on the cars in front. So the longer they stay out, more advantage to us. And again, the quicker we get by Gasly and Ocon, the better. Because I'm pretty sure these guys are going to do a one-stop with a hard tire. So looking forward to seeing how that works. Unfortunately here, Ocon and Gasly crashed. And that slowed us down. Probably lost at least a couple of seconds. We'll have to see. But if the Alpine sabotage me here, I'm gonna be upset. Okay, maybe we didn't lose too much, but that should at least mean that one of them will be pitting. But yeah, with now 17 seconds, we were closer. So neither of them pitted as well. So yeah, not great, I guess is the best way I can put it. But we should be able to get the overtake done here. That's all I can really hope for. And we are actually going to go high risk here, just so we can put in a little bit extra effort in getting by these guys. Because that is how... Oh, that is the wrong key.
Yes.
That is how important it is to get by them quick. And we got by one. So we'll tune it down. And we'll just be patient here, get the other one during the other one. But as you can see, yeah, we've already lost a lot of time to the cars in front. Just running behind these guys for a couple of laps. So that does put a bit of a threat here on getting, you know, the overtake done on the pit straight. So for the time being, we are looking good though. We'll have to see now if any of the 6 cars up front do pit. And if Hulk can actually, you know, jump them. So for now, we'll wait until they start pitting. Here we are. The first pitter has pitted, Alonso. And he actually went to a medium tire. I don't know if he's going to push that medium tire till the end. I kind of doubt that. But we are ahead of him, which is the important part. And if we can keep this going, we should have no problems jumping the rest. So we'll sit back, relax, and we'll see where we're at once we get to our final pit stop. We're getting increasingly close here to that pit stop. We're actually going to be pitting this lap. Now, for Stroll and Alonso, they've been on these tires now for 20 laps. You can see that they're planning to do a one-stopper. Sainz here, too, is probably going to be on those tires till the end. So it's not looking too great, honestly, for us. And the same can be said for everyone else on these tires. But we will still try and do the best that we can here, of course. We have been pushing for the entire stint. Now, the main thing that we need to be concerned about is the fact that we're going to need to save a bit of fuel. So we're going to be pitting. We're going to be coming out here probably in 7th. And we are going to have to get some overtakes done and get back into it. Because these guys, none of them went for the hard tire. And that is kind of what I like to see on hard difficulty. That none of them actually touched the hard tire at all. Because the hard tire here is just not worth it. And as you can see, they're doing one-stoppers potentially with medium to soft. So we should have a pretty significant advantage in terms of pace now. So we'll have to see what kind of lap times we do versus, say, Russell, Leclerc, Hamilton, Stroll, Alonso. And if maybe we can get Hulk back into a podium scoring position. Because we did take out both Red Bulls. And I'll be honest, if Aston start... you know, gets the most gain out of that, I'm going to be very upset with Magnussen, honestly. Never mind that. Hulkenberg locks up too.
No problem.
So, both drivers here have decided that they do not want anything of this.
Everything's all right here. Struggling with the car. They were just unable to do much about it.
I don't know why I elected to stop there, but that cost us a few more seconds. So yeah, lost about 5 seconds on that lap, minimum. Probably lost a little bit more, and we did lose a little bit of tire, but that shouldn't actually be an issue. For now, though, we are running a little bit quicker than the rest of the pack, but because of that recent incident, we probably are going to have a hard time getting back up into the podium places, but we'll do our best in chase down, and we'll see if we can catch Russell relatively quick. We've had an incident here, and in this case, it's Alonso. He has actually... crashed into the wall there. Luckily, the Ferrari survived. That's going to put him into a bad spot. For us, we have just caught up to Russell, but because Alonso crashed, he's actually kind of holding us up at the moment. And that is a little bit of a problem, because we also do need to conserve a little bit. So we should have the RS there, we do. So that should allow us to close down to the Mercedes cars. But at the same time here, the... Alonso slowing us down, everything kind of going bad here. It's going to put a bit of a... it's going to cause us a bit of a problem. It's the best way that I can describe it. I think we're going to struggle to catch up to the top 3 here. We might even see Stroll snatching second. So it's a bit of a rough one. We probably pushed fuel a little bit too aggressively. Probably went a little bit too hard on a few of the other strategies here. But as you can see now, the tires are equal across the board. And for Hulkenberg, yeah, I'm going to turn him down to standard. And we're going to try and just sit behind these cars for a little bit. Although we probably could have gotten the overtake there. Because I need energy and I need fuel to be able to get anything done right now. So we're going to gamble on getting an overtake done on this straight. against Hamilton, and then we'll try and hunt down Russell. So, as you can see, Hamilton is kind of letting go, so we don't really have any choice if we want to get Russell as well. We are going to have to just send it here, and looks like Hamilton survived, so that does put a bit of a damper on it. We're going to conserve again in the parts of the track where we can, and we are going to have to probably deploy to catch Russell at this point. Now, as one could see here, if it wasn't for that lockup, if it wasn't for Gasly and Ocon, Hulkenberg here might have actually gotten himself a podium. So it is a bit of an unfortunate incident. And honestly, I'm fine with being behind Russell here into the DRS zone, because we still need to regain some fuel. And that is going to be the main concern here for this lap. Just get that fuel back, deploy everything, and try and stay ahead of Hamilton, rather than Russell. So it is, as I said, very unfortunate. We might actually not even make it till the end here.
And Sainz crosses the line first. He's taken the win.
Coasted across the line there, but yeah, we did just barely make it. So we got 5th, but as I said, we lost 5 seconds on the lockup, and we lost a lot of time being behind these cars as well. We lost time with Ocon and everything, so this was a golden opportunity for Hulk. Just couldn't grasp it because of, well, driver errors and probably a little bit of a manager strategic error. But still, we did the best out of it. Mercedes still gaining a lot of points on us because, well, Magnussen decided to say hi to the barriers. And, yeah, we're going to have a little bit of a rougher time next time around, I think, as a result of that. It's just unfortunate. 2 races now, Magnussen has been out of both, and hopefully we can actually replace those parts before the next race. Helipad has been upgraded, race team has reached level 3, and we're going to go ahead and upgrade that right away. Brings us a little bit further down on the money, but that's fine. But for now, we're going to end it here. As I said, a little bit of a shorter episode today. We're just going to have to replace the parts next time around. We have 11 days to Austria. We need to get Magnus a new chassis. Hopefully we can get it done in time. Thank you for watching. Hope you've enjoyed, and I hope to see you next time. Again, sorry that this one has been a little bit frantic, a little bit more than usual, but it was a couple of interesting races, so I had fun. Thank you. Bye-bye.